Hey guys, tonight we are stepping back in time, not just to admire a magnificent monument, but to walk in the sandals of one of the thousands of unsung artists who brought it to life. We're journeying to 17th century Mughal India, to the bustling construction site of what will become one of the new seven wonders of the world, the Taj Mahal. Imagine the pre-dawn chill, the air thick with the scent of wood smoke and damp earth. You stir in your modest dwelling in Mumtazabad, the sprawling settlement built just for workers like you. The first faint calls to prayer drift from a nearby makeshift mosque. Soon, you'll join a river of humanity flowing towards a vision of white marble rising against the Yamuna River, a testament to an emperor's love and a canvas for your extraordinary skill. Honestly, given the sheer scale of the project, the intricate detail required, and the comparatively primitive tools, if you were dropped onto that site as a modern artisan, you'd probably last a week before demanding a CAD program, a laser cutter, and a very strong cup of chai, possibly with a side of union representation. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, why not let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is in your corner of the world? It's always fascinating to see how far these stories travel. As of this recording, it's May 16th, 2025 here in my studio. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The darkness is still deep, but the first stirrings of life are palpable around you. You live in Mumtazabad, later known as Taj Ganj, a bustling, sprawling town that has sprung up south of the main mausoleum complex. It's a city within a city, purpose-built by Emperor Shah Jahan to house the tens of thousands of laborers, craftsmen, merchants, and their families, all dedicated to the monumental task of creating his beloved late wife Mumtaz Mahal's final resting place. Your dwelling is simple, likely made of mud brick or wood, perhaps with a small courtyard. It's crowded, noisy, and alive with the hopes and a few of the anxieties of people drawn from across the Mughal Empire and even beyond. Persia, Central Asia, perhaps even Europe. The air carries the sounds of a waking city, a baby crying, a distant cough, the low murmur of voices as families begin their day. The scent of wood fires being lit for the morning meal starts to mingle with the ever-present dust of a massive construction zone. You are one of the many skilled artisans, perhaps a marble carver, a specialist in pietra dura inlay, a calligrapher, or a mason. Your hands, calloused yet capable of the most delicate work, are your livelihood and your contribution to this unprecedented project. A mainstream historical fact is that the construction of the Taj Mahal began around 1632 and took approximately 20 to 22 years to complete, employing an estimated 20,000 workers, including a highly skilled international cohort of artisans. You are not just a nameless laborer, you are part of a sophisticated hierarchy of skill. Your expertise is valued, though your individual name may not be etched into the marble alongside the calligraphic verses. Your reward is not fame, but the daily wage, the pride in your craft, and the knowledge that you are part of something truly extraordinary, something divinely inspired, or at least royally commanded, which in Mughal India often amounted to the same thing. The sheer ambition of the project is breathtaking. White marble, sourced from Makrana in Rajasthan, hundreds of kilometers away, is being transformed into a structure of ethereal beauty, adorned with intricate carvings and inlaid with precious and semi-precious stones from across the known world. As the first sliver of light appears on the eastern horizon, you know it's time to rise. Another day of meticulous, demanding work awaits. A day of dust, sweat, and intense concentration. A day contributing your small, vital part to a monument that will awe the world for centuries to come, long after your own name has faded like a morning mist over the Yamuna. It's a heavy responsibility, but also a profound privilege. And who knows, maybe today the site manager will finally get everyone those little paper hats. Probably not. The faintest gray light now seeps through the gaps in your dwelling's simple shutter, urging you from your mat. The pre-dawn air in Mumtazabad is still cool, a welcome respite before the fierce Indian sun climbs high and beats down on the sprawling construction site of the Taj Mahal. Your day, like that of thousands of fellow artisans and laborers, begins with a series of quiet, essential rituals that prepare you physically and perhaps spiritually for the demanding tasks ahead. This isn't a rush hour commute with a hastily grabbed coffee. It's a more measured, deliberate start to a day dedicated to monumental creation. First, ablutions. You make your way to a designated area or use a private corner of your small compound for washing. Water, drawn from a nearby well or carried from the Yamuna River, is precious. You perform wudu, the ritual cleansing in Islam, washing your hands, face, arms, and feet. Even if your specific craft doesn't directly involve religious iconography, the entire project of the Taj Mahal is imbued with a sense of sacred purpose. A tomb for an empress, adorned with Quranic verses. Starting the day with physical and spiritual cleanliness feels appropriate, a way of honoring the work and its divine inspiration. It's like wiping the sleep from your eyes and also from your soul, readying yourself for tasks that require not just skill, but also a kind of focused reverence. Back in your dwelling, a simple breakfast awaits. This is no lavish spread. It might consist of some flatbread, perhaps roti or chapati, made from wheat or millet, cooked the previous evening or fresh this morning by your wife or another family member. There might be a small bowl of lentils dal or a vegetable curry, and perhaps some yogurt or a piece of fruit if you're fortunate. It's hearty, sustaining food, designed to provide energy for hours of physical or intensely focused labor. You eat with your right hand, sharing the meal with your family if they are awake. The conversation is likely muted, focused on the day's immediate needs or perhaps a quiet word of prayer. There's no time for lingering. The massive project across the river waits for no one. Think of it as the 17th century equivalent of a power bar and a quick family huddle before everyone dashes off. Once the meal is done, you gather your tools. Depending on your specific craft, these are your most prized possessions, the extensions of your hands and your skill. If you're a marble carver, you'll have a collection of chisels of various sizes and shapes, mallets, rasps, and polishing stones. If you specialize in pietra dura inlay, your kit will include fine drills, tiny saws, specialized adhesives, and perhaps your own carefully guarded selection of small, shaped gemstones. A calligrapher might have his specific set of carving tools designed to replicate the elegant flow of script. A mainstream historical fact is that many of the tools used by Mughal artisans were highly specialized and often made by the craftsmen themselves or by dedicated toolmakers, passed down through generations or refined over years of practice. These weren't mass-produced items. They were intimately connected to the artisan's skill. You check each tool carefully. A dull chisel or a misaligned drill could ruin hours of painstaking work. Or worse, damage the precious marble or gemstones. These materials are expensive, brought from afar, and waste is not an option. Your tools are probably kept in a wooden box or a leather roll, protected from damage and the ever-present dust. They are familiar to your touch, their weight and balance an integral part of your muscle memory. They are, in a very real sense, your partners in creation. Now, for a quirky tidbit, some artisans might have had small, personal good luck charms or talismans tucked away with their tools or worn on their person. Perhaps a specific stone, a religious inscription, or an item blessed by a holy man. In a project of such magnitude and importance, where divine favor and protection from mishap were always welcome, a little extra spiritual insurance probably felt like a good idea. Historians still argue about the exact composition and organization of the artisan workforce. Were they mostly conscripted laborers, or were they highly paid? Mobile professionals attracted by the prestige and opportunity of the project. The reality likely involved a complex mix of both, with varying degrees of autonomy and compensation depending on skill and origin. With your tools secured and your body nourished, you're ready. You step out of your dwelling into the growing light of dawn. Mumtazabad is now fully awake, a river of humanity, men, women carrying water or food, children, even animals, all moving with a sense of purpose. The air is filled with the sounds of a waking town and the distant, muffled echoes of the massive construction site. Your mind is already turning to the task ahead, visualizing the curve of a petal you're carving, the precise fit of a tiny piece of lapis lazuli, or the elegant sweep of a calligraphic stroke. The day has begun. The sun, a molten orange disk, is just beginning to climb above the dusty plains east of Agra, painting the sky in hues of saffron and rose. You step out from the narrow lanes of Mumtazabad, your artisan's town, and join a vast, slowly moving river of people. Thousands of your fellow workers, all heading towards the colossal silhouette of the Taj Mahal construction site, shimmering ethereally on the southern bank of the Yamuna River. This daily commute isn't a solitary affair. It's a communal pilgrimage to a shared endeavor, a testament to collective human effort. The path is well-trodden, a wide, dusty track leading from the residential quarters of Mumtazabad towards the southern gate of the main mausoleum complex. Around you is a diverse multitude. There are masons with their heavier tools, laborers carrying baskets or pushing carts, water carriers with their skins, and specialized craftsmen like yourself, perhaps walking with a small group from your own region or guild, conversing in your native dialect, Persian, Hindi, Urdu, or perhaps a Central Asian tongue. The murmur of countless voices blends with the shuffle of feet, the distant creak of bullock carts laden with materials, and the calls of foremen organizing their teams. It's a city on the move, a temporary army dedicated not to war, but to beauty. As you draw closer, the sheer scale of the project begins to dominate your senses. Even in its partially completed state, the central mausoleum, rising on its massive platform, is an awe-inspiring sight. The pristine white marble, brought all the way from the Makrana quarries, seems to gather and reflect the nascent sunlight, giving it a soft, almost otherworldly glow. Scaffolding, made of timber or bamboo, still clings to parts of the structure, alive with workers like ants on a giant wedding cake. The sounds of construction grow louder now, the rhythmic chip-chip-chipping of thousands of chisels on stone, the clang of hammers, the grating of saws, the shouts of overseers, and the steady chanting of laborers lifting heavy loads. It's an orchestra of creation, and you are one of its musicians. A mainstream historical fact is that the Taj Mahal complex is not just the iconic white mausoleum, but a vast, integrated set of buildings and gardens, including a mosque to its west, a symmetrical guest house or jawab, answer to its east, a grand main gateway, Darwaza-e-Rauza, and the expansive Charbagh garden. Your work might be on any part of this complex, each requiring different skills and contributing to the overall harmony of Shah Jahan's grand design. The Yamuna River flows serenely to your left, its waters reflecting the morning sky. Boats ferry materials, more marble, sandstone for the surrounding buildings, precious woods, or carry important officials. The river is both a lifeblood for the project and a picturesque backdrop. Perhaps you pause for a moment, as many do, to simply gaze at the emerging masterpiece, a structure unlike anything seen before. There's a sense of pride, certainly, but perhaps also a touch of awe at the audacity of it all. This emperor's extravagant tribute to his lost love. It's one thing to be told you're building a magnificent tomb. It's another to see it actually taking shape, day by day, through the labor of your own hands and those of your comrades. It's probably more inspiring than looking at architectural blueprints on a tiny phone screen. Now for a quirky tidbit. Legend has it that Shah Jahan initially considered building a black marble Taj Mahal for himself on the opposite bank of the Yamuna, a mirror image to his wife's white tomb. While this makes for a romantic story, most historians today doubt its veracity, citing lack of archaeological evidence and the immense cost such a project would have entailed. But imagine if it were true. You might have been commuting to the dark side project instead. Historians still argue about the precise nature of the labor force. While skilled artisans were undoubtedly well compensated and respected, what about the vast numbers of unskilled or semi-skilled laborers? Were they conscripted, indentured, or freely employed? The conditions for them were likely much harsher than for the master craftsmen. As you approach the designated entry point for your section of the worksite, there's a sense of order amidst the apparent chaos. Overseers and guards are present, checking identities or guild affiliations. You might greet familiar faces, exchange a quick word, and then find your specific workshop area or the section of the building where your skills are needed today. The air is thick with fine white marble dust, which gets into everything: your clothes, your hair, your lungs. You'll probably tie a cloth over your nose and mouth, a rudimentary but necessary precaution. The sun is higher now, the initial coolness of the dawn replaced by a growing warmth. The day's work is about to begin in earnest. The Yamuna continues its timeless flow, a silent witness to the creation of a monument that aims for eternity. And you, a humble artisan, are ready to leave your mark, however anonymously, on its gleaming surface. You've arrived at your designated spot on the vast Taj Mahal construction site. The initial bustle of arrival settles into a more focused energy as thousands of artisans and laborers find their places. Before you can touch chisel to marble or inlay a single gemstone, there's a crucial step: receiving your instructions for the day. This isn't a freelance gig where you decide what to work on. You are part of a highly organized, hierarchical system, a cog in an immense creative machine, working towards a unified, divinely inspired design. Your creativity is channeled, your skills directed by a master artisan, the ustad, who in turn answers to higher authorities, perhaps even the imperial architects themselves. You gather with other members of your team or guild, fellow stone carvers, inlay specialists, or calligraphers, depending on your craft. Your ustad, a man of considerable experience and skill, likely older, with hands that have shaped stone for decades, approaches. He carries himself with an air of authority, but also with the quiet confidence of a true master. He might have a roll of drawings or a wooden template, or perhaps the instructions are purely verbal, passed down through a well-understood system of design and execution. His voice, when he speaks, is probably low and precise, used to conveying complex details with clarity. You listen intently. Mistakes are costly, both in terms of wasted material and lost time. There's no undo button when you're working with a massive block of Makrana marble. The instructions could be highly specific. Today, you will complete the jasmine tendril on the third panel of the western dado. Ensure the curvature matches this template precisely. The undercutting must be deep enough to create a strong shadow, but not so deep as to weaken the stone. For an inlay artist, we are working on the border of the cenotaph chamber. Focus on the lapis lazuli petals for these 3 flower motifs. The fit must be seamless. No gaps visible even to the closest inspection. For a calligrapher, it might be, you will carve the necked section of Surah Yasin on the archway of the southern gate. Pay close attention to the spacing of the letters and the flow of the Thuluth script, as per Master Amanat Khan's design. A mainstream historical fact is that the calligraphy of the Taj Mahal, primarily Quranic verses, was designed by the Persian master calligrapher Amanat Khan, whose name is actually inscribed on the gateway of the tomb, a rare honor for an artisan. These instructions are not just technical, they are part of a larger aesthetic and symbolic vision. The floral motifs, the geometric patterns, the calligraphic inscriptions, all are carefully chosen to evoke images of paradise, to reflect the perfection of divine creation, and to honor the memory of Mumtaz Mahal. Your ustad might remind you of this deeper meaning, of the spiritual significance of the work. This isn't just decoration, it's devotion rendered in stone. It helps to keep that in mind when you're on your 5th hour of chipping away at a tiny marble leaf, and your back is aching. You might have questions, or your ustad might quiz you to ensure you understand the task. There's a master-apprentice dynamic at play. Even if you are a skilled artisan in your own right, you are still learning, still part of a tradition of knowledge passed down through generations. The ustad is not just a supervisor, he is a teacher, a mentor, and the guardian of the quality and integrity of the work. He's like the head chef in a Michelin star kitchen. Everything has to be perfect, according to his exacting standards. Now for a quirky tidbit communication on such a vast, noisy, and multilingual site must have been a challenge. While your immediate ustad likely spoke your language, overall coordination would have required translators, standardized signals, or perhaps a lingua franca like a simplified form of Persian, which was the court language of the Mughals. Imagine trying to explain a complex geometric pattern using only hand gestures and a few shared nouns. It probably led to some interesting interpretations, and maybe a few carefully corrected, happy little accidents. Historians still argue about the level of individual artistic freedom afforded to the artisans. While the overall design was centrally controlled by imperial architects like Ustad Ahmad Lahori, often credited as the chief architect, did master craftsmen have some leeway in interpreting details or adding their own subtle flourishes? Or was every line and curve strictly prescribed? Once the instructions are clear, you and your team disperse to your respective workstations. You might be working on a piece of marble that will later be lifted into place, or directly onto a section of the building itself, perhaps perched on scaffolding high above the ground. You lay out your tools, take a deep breath, and focus your mind. The ustad's voice, the templates, the grand design, all are now internalized. Your hands know what to do. The day's divine task, your small but essential contribution to this teardrop on the cheek of time, begins. The ustad's instructions are fresh in your mind. Today, your skilled hands are destined to coax life from the pristine, almost luminous white marble of Makrana. You are a stone carver, a sangtarash, and your canvas is a slab of this cool, resilient stone, waiting to be transformed into a delicate tracery of floral reliefs, a hallmark of Mughal architectural adornment. The air around you is already filled with the rhythmic tap-tap-tapping of countless chisels, a symphony of creation played out under the increasingly warm Agra sun. You find your designated piece, perhaps a dado panel for one of the subsidiary buildings, or a section of the intricate screengelai that will eventually surround the Empress's cenotaph. First, the design. The pattern. A flowing arabesque of leaves, buds, and blossoms, perhaps tulips, irises, or poppies. Flowers beloved by the Mughals for their beauty and symbolism would have been drawn onto the marble surface. This might have been done by a specialist draftsman, or perhaps you, under the ustad's guidance, have transferred it from a paper cartoon or a wooden template using charcoal or ochre. The lines are precise, elegant, a roadmap for your chisel. A mainstream historical fact is that Mughal art, including architectural decoration, was heavily influenced by Persian traditions, but it also incorporated indigenous Indian motifs and a profound love for naturalistic floral patterns, which reached a zenith of refinement during Shah Jahan's reign. The flowers on the Taj aren't just generic shapes, they are often identifiable species, rendered with botanical accuracy and artistic grace. You select your first chisel, its edge honed to razor sharpness. You have a range of them, pointed ones for outlining, flat ones for smoothing, curved ones for shaping petals. Your mallet, likely made of wood to absorb some of the shock, feels like an extension of your arm. With a focused mind and a steady hand, you begin. The first taps are gentle, outlining the main stems and leaves. You work with, not against the grain of the marble, understanding its structure, its strengths, and its potential weaknesses. One misplaced or overly enthusiastic blow could fracture the stone or ruin a delicate detail, wasting precious material and hours of work. It requires immense patience and control. It's not like whacking away at a piece of firewood. This is more like performing microsurgery on a sleeping giant. As you carve deeper, the two-dimensional drawing starts to gain a three-dimensional life. You undercut the edges of petals and leaves to create a sense of depth and shadow, making the flowers appear to float just above the surface. This technique, known as relief carving, is executed with extraordinary skill on the Taj Mahal, giving the floral designs a remarkable delicacy and realism. The marble dust, fine as talcum powder, rises in a small cloud around your working area, coating your hands, your clothes, and the cloth tied over your face. You pause frequently to brush it away, to inspect your progress, your eyes critically examining every curve, every indentation. Is the line fluid enough? Is the depth consistent? Would the ustad approve? The work is physically demanding. Hours spent hunched over the stone, the repetitive motion of the mallet, the intense concentration. It all takes a toll on your body. Your shoulders ache, your fingers cramp, but the beauty emerging from the stone is its own reward. You might be working alongside other carvers, each focused on their own panel. The sounds of your tools creating a communal rhythm. There's a quiet camaraderie, a shared understanding of the craft and its challenges. Perhaps a silent nod of appreciation for a particularly well-executed detail on a colleague's piece. This isn't a factory assembly line, it's a collective of artists, each contributing their unique touch within the framework of a unified design. Now for a quirky tidbit, some scholars have suggested that the specific floral designs on the Taj Mahal might have symbolic meanings related to Mughal concepts of paradise, with certain flowers representing divine attributes or the beauty of the afterlife. While this is an attractive idea, concrete textual evidence from the period explicitly linking each flower to a specific meaning is scarce. It's possible the primary aim was simply to create an atmosphere of serene, garden-like beauty, befitting a paradisiacal tomb. Historians still argue about the degree to which specialized carvers focused on only one type of motif versus being versatile across different designs. Did you, as a hypothetical jasmine carving expert, ever get a crack at the poppies? Or were you typecast in marble? As the morning wears on and your panel slowly transforms. What was once a flat, inert surface is now a vibrant tapestry of stone blossoms, seemingly swaying in an unseen breeze. The interplay of light and shadow across the carved surfaces creates a subtle dynamism. You are not merely decorating a building, you are infusing it with a sense of organic life, of eternal spring. Your hands, though dusty and tired, are bringing forth beauty that will endure for centuries, a silent testament to the carver's gentle, patient art. Perhaps your skill lies not in the sculptural relief of marble, but in an even more painstaking and jewel-like art form, carry, or as it's more widely known by its Italian name, pietra dura. This is the intricate technique of inlaying highly polished, precisely cut pieces of precious and semi-precious gemstones into a marble base to create stunning, vibrant patterns. Especially the exquisite floral designs that adorn the Taj Mahal's cenotaphs, screens, and key architectural elements. If the marble carvers give the stone its form, you, the Parchankari artist, give it its color and its dazzling inner light. Your workshop area might be a little quieter. The sounds more of gentle tapping, scraping, and the occasional soft whir of a bow drill. Your workspace is meticulous. Before you were small, carefully labeled containers holding slivers of lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, carnelian from Arabia, jade and crystal from China, turquoise from Tibet, jasper, agate, bloodstone, mother of pearl, and dozens of other vibrant stones. These have been sourced from across the Mughal Empire and far beyond, a testament to the vast resources and trading networks at Shah Jahan's command. Each tiny piece has been painstakingly shaped, often no thicker than a few millimeters, cut to fit perfectly into a corresponding recess that has been precisely carved into the white marble. A mainstream historical fact is that the pietra dura work at the Taj Mahal is considered one of the finest examples of this art form in the world, showcasing an incredible level of detail and craftsmanship. It's estimated that dozens of different types of gemstones were used. Your task for the day might be to complete a single flower, or even just a few petals or leaves within a larger design. The process is incredibly slow and demands unwavering concentration. First, the design, a delicate spray of lilies, a complex arabesque, is incised into the marble surface. Then, using fine chisels and drills, shallow cavities are carefully carved out to match the exact shape of each gemstone piece. This requires micrometer precision. Any error means the stone won't fit, or the join will be visible. It's like creating a jigsaw puzzle where every piece is unique, irreplaceable, and made of something incredibly valuable. No wonder your eye-hand coordination is legendary. You probably don't spill your chai very often. Once the cavity is prepared, you select the corresponding gemstone sliver. You test the fit. If it's not perfect, you might need to make minute adjustments to the stone or the marble recess using a fine abrasive. When the fit is exact, a special adhesive, likely a mastic made from natural resins and oils, is applied, and the stone is carefully set into place. The goal is a seamless join, where the stone and marble meet so perfectly that they appear as one surface. After the adhesive sets, the inlaid area is then painstakingly polished, often using a series of finer and finer abrasives, until the gemstones and the surrounding marble gleam with a uniform, lustrous sheen. It's this final polishing that truly brings out the vibrant colors of the stones and the milky translucence of the marble. This is not work for the impatient. A single small panel of pietra dura could take weeks or even months to complete, depending on its complexity. You might spend an entire day working on an area no larger than your palm. The slightest tremor of the hand, a moment's lapse in concentration, could ruin a piece of precious material or dislodge an already set stone. Your posture, your breathing, your focus, all must be controlled. It's a meditative practice as much as it is a craft. You probably have the calmest demeanor of anyone on the entire construction site, or you're just really good at internalizing your stress. Now for a quirky tidbit. Some of the floral designs in the pietra dura work are so detailed that they include subtle gradations of color within a single petal or leaf, achieved by using different shades of the same type of stone, or even different stones, cleverly juxtaposed. This creates a remarkable sense of naturalism and depth. For instance, a single leaf might incorporate several shades of green jade to mimic the play of light and shadow. Historians still argue about the precise origins of the pietra dura technique used at the Taj. While it reached its zenith under the Mughals, it has antecedents in ancient Rome and was revived in Renaissance Italy. Was the Mughal technique a direct import from Florence, or an independent development building on existing Indian and Persian inlay traditions? Perhaps with some cross-pollination of ideas from European lapidaries present at the Mughal court. As you work, hunched over your small section of marble, surrounded by the vibrant colors of your gemstone palette, you are essentially painting with stone. Each tiny piece you set is a brushstroke, contributing to a masterpiece of color and light. The sun filtering into your workshop catches the facets of the polished gems, making them sparkle like trapped stars. It's a slow, demanding, but ultimately dazzling art, transforming cold stone into a vibrant, eternal garden. And your patient, precise hands are the ones making that magic happen. While the floral carvings and gemstone inlays filled the Taj Mahal with earthly beauty, another, perhaps even more profound, layer of adornment graces its arches, gateways, and cenotaphs calligraphy. The elegant and flowing verses of the Quran, rendered in black marble inlaid into the white, are not mere decoration. They are sacred messages, integral to the building's function as a tomb and its evocation of paradise. If your skill lies in this divine art, you are not just a stoneworker. You are a conduit for the holy word, your hands tasked with giving it enduring, monumental form. Today, your focus is on a section of these sacred inscriptions, ensuring each letter, each curve, is perfectly proportioned and imbued with a sense of grace. The calligraphic inscriptions on the Taj Mahal are primarily in the Tholuth script, a majestic and cursive style of Arabic calligraphy known for its clarity and elegance, favored for monumental inscriptions. The designs for these inscriptions were created by the master calligrapher, Amanat Khan Shirazi, a Persian artist whose skill was so esteemed that, as mentioned, he was one of an exceptionally few artisans allowed to sign his work on the structure itself. His signature can be found on the main gateway, ending with the date and the phrase, "Finished with his help, the Most High, Amanat Khan al-Shirazi." This gives you an idea of the reverence in which his art, and by extension yours as an executor of it, was held. A mainstream historical fact is that the Quranic verses chosen for the Taj Mahal are largely eschatological, dealing with themes of judgment, divine mercy, and the promise of paradise for the faithful, reinforcing the mausoleum's symbolic function. Your task as a calligraphic carver is to translate Amanat Khan's two-dimensional designs, likely provided on large paper cartoons, into precisely carved channels in the white marble. These channels will then be filled with perfectly cut pieces of black marble or sometimes other dark stones to create the inlaid script. The precision required is immense. The Thuluth script is characterized by its elongated vertical strokes, its sweeping curves, and its complex ligatures where letters join. Maintaining the correct proportions, the subtle variations in line thickness, and the overall rhythm and flow of the script across vast surfaces and around curving arches is a monumental challenge. It's not just about copying letters, it's about capturing the spiritual energy and aesthetic perfection of the master design. You're essentially sculpting with language, and that language is considered divine. No pressure. You would use a variety of fine chisels and drills, your movements precise and controlled. The depth and width of the carved channels must be uniform to ensure the black marble inlay fits snugly and lies flush with the white marble surface. Any deviation could disrupt the visual harmony of the script, a flaw that would be glaringly obvious in a work of such sacred importance. You might work on a section of an archway, perhaps perched high on scaffolding, carefully carving a verse that speaks of the gardens of paradise awaiting the righteous. The sun beats down, the marble dust flies, but your focus is absolute, centered on the sacred text taking shape under your hands. Now, for a quirky and rather ingenious aspect of the calligraphy on the Taj Mahal, the inscriptions that are high up on the structure are subtly larger in size than those closer to eye level. This is an optical correction, a form of perspective adjustment, designed to ensure that the verses appear uniform in size to an observer on the ground. This sophisticated understanding of visual perception highlights the incredible attention to detail and the advanced knowledge of the Mughal builders and designers. Historians still argue about the exact methods used to transfer and scale Amanat Khan's designs onto the massive curved surfaces of the dome and arches, while maintaining such perfect proportions and optical corrections. Was it a complex system of grids, projection, or some other lost technique? The process of inlaying the black marble into the carved channels is itself a delicate art, likely performed by specialists in that technique, perhaps closely collaborating with you. The carver. The black marble pieces must be shaped with extreme precision to fit like puzzle pieces into the channels you've created. The contrast between the stark black of the script and the luminous white of the Makrana marble is visually stunning, creating a sense of clarity, authority, and profound beauty. It makes the sacred word literally stand out, demanding attention and reverence. As you complete your section of a verse, you step back, or perhaps look down from your scaffolding to assess your work. Does it flow? Does it have the requisite majesty? Does it honor the sacred text and the memory of the Empress? This is more than a job. It's an act of devotion, a prayer etched in stone. Your hands may be tired, your eyes strained from the intense focus, but there's a deep satisfaction in contributing to this beautiful, enduring testament to faith and love. You are, quite literally, carving eternity. The sun has climbed high into the Agra sky, now blazing down with an intensity that makes the white marble of the Taj Mahal almost blinding, and the air in your workshop area thick and hot. The morning's intense labor, whether delicately carving floral reliefs, painstakingly inlaying tiny gemstones, or meticulously shaping sacred calligraphy, has taken its toll. A welcome signal ripples through the vast construction site. It's time for the midday respite, a chance to rest your weary limbs, replenish your energy, and connect with your fellow artisans over a shared meal and perhaps a few shared stories. You carefully set down your tools, perhaps covering your unfinished work to protect it from the dust and the curious gaze of passers-by. The rhythmic tapping of chisels and hammers across the site begins to subside, replaced by the sounds of men stretching, conversing, and making their way to shaded areas for their break. You join a small group of your colleagues, perhaps others from your specific guild or workshop, or men from your home region who share your language and customs. Finding a spot of shade is crucial under a makeshift awning, beneath the overhang of a partially completed building, or even under the sparse foliage of a nearby tree. The Yamuna River glints in the distance, its breeze, if any, a sought-after relief. The midday meal is like breakfast, simple but sustaining. You might unwrap a piece of flatbread brought from home, perhaps accompanied by some cooked vegetables, a dollop of yogurt, or a few pickles. Some workers might have food brought to them by family members who live in Mumtazabad. Others might purchase food from vendors who circulate around the periphery of the site, offering simple, hot meals. Water, carried in earthenware pots to keep it cool, is passed around and gratefully drunk. A mainstream historical fact is that the logistics of providing food and water for a workforce of around 20,000 people daily would have been a significant undertaking in itself, likely involving a complex network of suppliers, cooks, and vendors centered around the Mumtazabad settlement. As you eat, the conversation flows. It might be about the work itself, a particularly challenging piece of carving, a new shipment of lapis lazuli that has just arrived, a rumor about a change in design from the imperial architects, or it could be news from home, gossip from Mumtazabad, or stories shared by those who have traveled from distant parts of the empire. Laughter erupts here and there, a welcome release from the intense concentration of the morning's labor. Jokes are exchanged, perhaps at the expense of a particularly officious overseer, or good-natured teasing about a colleague's clumsy moment. It's a chance to be human, to connect, to remember that you are more than just a pair of skilled hands in a vast imperial project. You are Ali from Isfahan, or Govind from Kanauj, with a family, a history, and a wry sense of humor. This midday break is also an important time for reinforcing social bonds and guild solidarity. Apprentices listen to the tales and advice of master craftsmen. Men from the same region share news from their villages. Disputes might be mediated or assistance offered to a colleague in need. It's an informal community meeting, a chance to rebuild the social fabric that sustains you through the long, arduous days. Think of it as the 17th century water cooler chat, but with more dust and significantly better artisanal skills on display later. Now, for a quirky tidbit given the diverse origins of the workforce, the midday meal could have been a fascinating and aromatic tapestry of different culinary traditions. While the basic fare was likely simple, you might have caught whiffs of Persian spices mingling with Indian herbs, or seen different types of bread and regional specialties being shared. It was a microcosm of the Mughal Empire's multiculturalism, played out over humble lunches. Historians still argue about the level of direct interaction and socialization between artisans of vastly different geographical origins and skill levels during these breaks. Did the master calligraphers from Persia dine separately from the stonemasons from Rajasthan? Or was there more intermingling than the formal guild structures might suggest? The break is not overly long. An hour, perhaps. Just enough to rest and refuel. Soon, the overseer's calls will be heard again, signaling the recommencement of work. You carefully pack away any leftover food, take another long drink of water, and perhaps offer a brief prayer of thanks. The sun is still high. The afternoon will be hot, and the magnificent structure awaits its next layer of painstaking adornment. But for this brief interlude, you have found a moment of peace, camaraderie, and shared humanity in the shadow of an emperor's grand dream. Your body is a little rested, your spirit a little lighter, ready to face the afternoon's creative challenges. The midday respite, and with its shared food and easy camaraderie, is over too soon. The rhythmic sounds of construction slowly swell again across the vast site as you and your fellow artisans return to your tasks. The afternoon sun beats down, and the white marble reflects its glare, making your eyes ache despite your focused gaze. As you meticulously chip away at a delicate floral scroll or carefully set a sliver of carnelian into its marble bed, a different kind of tension might ripple through your section of the worksite. A hush falls. Tools seem to tap a little more softly. It's a signal that someone important is approaching, perhaps one of the imperial overseers, a high-ranking architect, or, on rare and momentous occasions, even a member of the Mughal nobility or Shah Jahan himself. The construction of the Taj Mahal was not just a building project, it was an imperial obsession, a personal testament of the emperor's love and piety. As such, it was subject to constant scrutiny from the highest levels. A mainstream historical fact is that Shah Jahan took a profound personal interest in the design and construction of the Taj Mahal, frequently visiting the site, consulting with his architects, and even making suggestions or demanding changes to ensure the final result matched his vision of perfection. His approval was paramount, his displeasure something to be avoided at all costs. When these high-ranking visitors arrive, often accompanied by a retinue of attendants and guards, there's an immediate shift in the atmosphere. Your Ustad, the master artisan, would likely be the one to interact directly with them, explaining the progress, showcasing particularly fine pieces of workmanship, and answering any questions. You and your fellow craftsmen would continue your work, perhaps with even greater diligence and precision, acutely aware of the powerful eyes upon you. It's like when the big boss from corporate headquarters suddenly shows up at your local branch. Everyone is on their best behavior, trying to look incredibly busy and competent. Imagine the scene. A richly dressed nobleman, perhaps Mir Abdul Karim or Makramat Khan, the two main supervisors of the construction, sweeps through your workshop area. His gaze is sharp, taking in every detail. He might pause to examine a newly completed panel of pietra dura, his fingers lightly tracing the smooth, inlaid stones. He might ask your ustad about the source of a particular batch of marble or the progress on a specific calligraphic inscription. His praise, if offered, would be a source of immense pride for your entire team. His criticism, however subtle, could lead to considerable anxiety and perhaps even the redoing of work. There's no room for "that's good enough" when you're building for an emperor who demands nothing less than divine perfection. On even rarer occasions, word might spread that Shah Jahan himself is visiting the site. This would create an even greater stir. The emperor, the king of the world, the patron of this entire colossal undertaking, taking a personal interest in your small section of the work. It would be both terrifying and exhilarating. You would likely only catch a glimpse of him from a distance, surrounded by his imperial guard and courtiers, a figure of immense power and majesty. But knowing that his eyes might, even for a fleeting moment, rest upon the piece you are currently crafting would imbue your work with an even greater sense of importance. You'd probably be extra careful not to drop your chisel on your foot that day. Now for a quirky tidbit according to some court chronicles. Shah Jahan was not just a passive observer, but had a keen aesthetic eye and a strong understanding of architectural principles. He would engage in detailed discussions with his architects and master craftsmen, sometimes suggesting modifications to proportions, materials, or decorative elements. It's said he had a particular fondness for the floral designs and personally approved many of them. So, the imperial gaze wasn't just about checking for progress. It could be a genuinely collaborative, if highly unequal, creative interaction. Historians still argue about the frequency and nature of Shah Jahan's personal interventions. Was he a hands-on micromanager, or did he largely entrust the execution to his highly skilled team once the overall design was approved? These visits, whether from mid-level overseers or the emperor himself, served several purposes. They ensured quality control, maintained momentum, and reinforce the imperial authority and vision behind the project. For you, the artisan, they were a reminder of the immense significance of your labor. You weren't just toiling anonymously, you were contributing to a monument that was the focus of the empire's attention, a project that would define an era. The pressure would be immense, but so too would be the sense of pride in being part of such a monumental and closely watched undertaking. As the important visitors depart, a collective sigh of relief might pass through the workshop, quickly followed by a renewed focus on the task at hand, perhaps with a fresh sense of urgency or validation. You're deep into the afternoon's work now, the sun beginning its slow descent towards the west, though the heat still radiates from the marble around you. Your hands move with a practiced rhythm, a testament to years, perhaps even generations, of accumulated skill. Let's pause for a moment and delve into the craftsman's kit, the specific tools and ingenious techniques that you and your fellow artisans employ to transform raw materials into the breathtaking beauty of the Taj Mahal. These aren't just simple implements, they are highly specialized extensions of your artistic vision, refined over centuries of tradition and innovation. If you are a marble carver, your primary companions are your chisels and mallet. You have a whole array of chisels, pointed ones nucila for initial outlining and fine detail, flat ones charasi of various widths for smoothing surfaces and removing larger amounts of stone, and toothed or claw chisels fatkarni for texturing or rapid removal of material before finer work begins. These would be made of high-quality iron or steel, their tips carefully hardened and sharpened repeatedly throughout the day on a whetstone. Your mallet hathoda or mogri is likely wooden, perhaps made from a dense hardwood like teak or sisu, chosen for its ability to deliver a controlled blow without shattering the chisel handle or jarring your arm excessively. The interplay between the weight of the mallet and the angle and sharpness of the chisel is something you understand intuitively, a language spoken between your hand, the tool, and the stone. It's like a musician knowing exactly how much pressure to apply to a string to produce the perfect note. For the pietra dura inlay artist, the tools are even more delicate and specialized. You use a bow drill kamtha, a simple but effective tool where a bowstring rotates a drill bit, to create fine holes and lines. Tiny, incredibly sharp chisels and gravers are used to excavate the shallow recesses in the marble where the gemstones will sit. The gemstone slivers themselves are shaped using abrasive powders, like crushed corundum or diamond dust on metal plates, or with small grinding wheels. A mainstream historical fact is that the Mughal artisans were masters of lapidary work, capable of cutting and shaping even very hard gemstones with remarkable precision, using techniques that were incredibly labor-intensive. The fitting of these stones into the marble, with no visible gaps, is a hallmark of their skill. Calligraphers, translating master designs into stone, would use fine chisels to carve the outlines of the letters. The channels would then be meticulously cleared to a uniform depth, ready for the black marble inlay. The black marble itself would be cut with fine saws and shaped with files and abrasives to fit perfectly into these channels. Adhesives, as we mentioned, would be crucial. Natural resins like shellac, mixed with other ingredients to create a strong, durable, and ideally invisible bond. Think of it as 17th century superglue, but probably smelling a lot more organic. Beyond these core tools, there are countless others. Rasps and files ready for shaping and smoothing, polishing stones of various grades, from rough sandstone to fine-grained agate or jasper, used with water and abrasive powders like powdered marble or pumice, to bring the marble and inlaid stones to their characteristic lustrous sheen. Measuring tools, rulers, squares, compasses, and plumb lines are essential for ensuring accuracy in both carving and construction. Templates kaka made of wood or paper would guide the replication of complex patterns. Now, for a quirky tidbit, some of the secrets of the trade were closely guarded within artisan families or guilds, passed down from father to son or master to apprentice. This might include specific recipes for adhesives, techniques for hardening tool tips, or methods for achieving a particular finish on the stone. This hereditary transmission of knowledge ensured the continuity of high craftsmanship, but also made it difficult for outsiders to replicate certain effects. Historians still argue about the extent of technological exchange between Indian artisans and craftsmen who came from Persia, Central Asia, or even Europe to work on projects like the Taj Mahal. Was there a significant fusion of techniques, or did different groups largely stick to their own traditional methods under Mughal coordination? The ingenuity is remarkable. Lacking power tools or advanced machinery, these artisans relied on their deep understanding of materials, the perfection of their hand tools, and an incredible amount of patience and physical endurance. The creation of the Taj Mahal was not just an artistic triumph, it was a triumph of traditional technology and human skill. Every graceful curve, every perfectly fitted stone, every flowing calligraphic line is a testament to the mastery these craftsmen had over their tools and their medium. Your hands, wielding these seemingly simple implements, are part of a direct lineage of skill stretching back centuries. As you meticulously work your craft, shaping a piece of Makrana marble or setting a sliver of lapis lazuli, it's easy to become engrossed in the immediate task at hand. But take a moment to consider the journey these materials have undertaken to reach your skilled hands. The pristine white marble that forms the luminous skin of the Taj Mahal, the vibrant gemstones that create its dazzling floral inlays, the red sandstone that clads its attendant buildings. These didn't magically appear on the banks of the Yamuna. Their sourcing and transportation involved a vast, complex, and incredibly expensive logistical operation, stretching across the Mughal Empire and far beyond, a testament to the emperor's immense resources and his determination to spare no expense for his beloved wife's mausoleum. The star of the show, of course, is the white Makrana marble. This exceptionally fine-grained, subtly translucent marble, prized for its ability to take a high polish and for the way it seems to glow and change color with the shifting light, was quarried in Makrana, in present-day Rajasthan, some 400 kilometers, about 250 miles to the west of Agra. A mainstream historical fact is that vast quantities of this marble in enormous blocks were transported from the quarries to the construction site. This Herculean task likely involved hundreds, if not thousands, of bullock carts, and possibly elephants for the heaviest pieces, making a slow, arduous journey across difficult terrain. Imagine the logistics specially constructed carts, reinforced roads or prepared tracks, watering stations for the animals, and teams of laborers to load, unload, and maneuver these massive blocks. It was an engineering feat in itself, even before a single chisel touched the stone. It makes your modern Amazon Prime delivery seem rather trivial, doesn't it? Then there are the myriad gemstones used for the pietra dura inlay work, a veritable treasure trove sourced from all corners of the known world. The deep blue lapis lazuli, as we've noted, came from Badakhshan in Afghanistan. The rich red carnelian was sourced from Arabia or various parts of India. Jade and crystal were imported from China. Turquoise was brought from Tibet. Yellow jasper hailed from the Punjab. Green chrysolite from Egypt. Agates, chalcedony, bloodstone, garnet, malachite, mother of pearl. The list goes on, each with its own distant origin. These precious and semi-precious stones would have been acquired through imperial networks, trade missions, or purchased from merchants specializing in gemstones. Their journey to Agra would have been long and perilous, adding significantly to their cost and mystique. You're not just inlaying a pretty stone, you're handling a piece of the world. The red sandstone, used extensively for the mosque, the guest house, the main gateway, and the outer walls of the complex, was sourced more locally, primarily from quarries near Fatehpur Sikri, Shah Jahan's grandfather Akbar's former capital, about 40 kilometers from Agra. While not as glamorous as the Makrana marble, it provided a rich, earthy contrast and was a staple of Mughal architecture. Other materials included various types of timber for scaffolding, doors, and internal structures, though much of the scaffolding was bamboo, lime for mortar, and metals like iron for clamps and dowels, and lead for waterproofing and joining. Now, for a quirky tidbit, there are legends that some of the more precious materials, like certain unique pieces of jade or rare gems, were personal gifts to the Mughal emperors from foreign rulers, or were specifically sought out by imperial agents on special missions. The acquisition of these materials was not just a matter of commerce, it was also an expression of imperial power and global reach. Historians still argue about the exact quantities and costs of these imported materials. While some contemporary Mughal chronicles provide figures, interpreting them in modern terms is challenging, but it's universally agreed that the Taj Mahal was an incredibly expensive undertaking, consuming a significant portion of the imperial treasury for over 2 decades. The budget for bling was clearly quite high. So, as you work with these materials, you are keenly aware of their value, not just their monetary worth, but the immense effort involved in bringing them to this sacred site. The marble you carve is cool and smooth, a product of ancient geological processes and a perilous overland journey. The tiny sliver of turquoise you are about to inlay has traveled over high mountain passes. This awareness adds another layer of responsibility to your craft. You handle these precious cargoes with respect, ensuring that not a fragment is wasted, that every piece contributes to the overall splendor of the monument. The world has literally been brought to Agra to create this masterpiece, and your hands are the ones giving it its final beautiful form. The sun is beginning its descent, casting long shadows across the bustling construction site. But your day isn't quite over when you lay down your tools. Your life as an artisan working on the Taj Mahal extends beyond the intricate carving, the precise inlay, or the sacred calligraphy. You are also a resident of Mumtazabad, the sprawling town built specifically to house the project's vast workforce. Here, in the shadow of the rising mausoleum, you have a home, perhaps a family, a community, and a life that, while centered around the monumental task at hand, also has its own rhythms, joys, and challenges. As you leave the main construction area, perhaps through a designated gate, you re-enter the narrower, more chaotic streets of Mumtazabad. This town, sometimes called Taj Ganj, is a hive of activity in itself. It's not just rows of identical workers' barracks. It's a functioning urban center with its own markets, bazaars, mosques, temples for the Hindu workers, food stalls, workshops for ancillary crafts like tool making or rope making, and residential areas catering to different groups of workers. A mainstream historical fact is that Mumtazabad was a planned settlement, designed to be largely self-sufficient, providing for the daily needs of the tens of thousands of inhabitants who were directly or indirectly involved in the Taj Mahal project. It was a temporary city, but one with a vibrant life of its own. Your dwelling, as we've imagined, is modest but provides shelter in a private space. If you have a family with you, a wife and children, this is where you return to them. The evening meal, likely more substantial than the midday one, would be a focal point. The aroma of cooking, different spices, baking bread, simmering stews, fills the air as you walk through the town. Perhaps your children run to greet you, their faces dusty from playing in the unpaved streets. Your wife might have spent her day managing the household, fetching water, preparing food, mending clothes, or perhaps even engaged in some form of craft herself to supplement the family income. It's a shared effort, supporting your specialized labor on the grand project. After the meal, there might be time for some simple leisure or social interaction. You might gather with neighbors in a small courtyard, sharing a hookah pipe if tobacco is your vice and not currently under one of its periodic bans, exchanging stories or listening to someone play a simple folk instrument. Children play games in the fading light. The atmosphere is likely a mix of exhaustion from the day's labor and the relief of being home. It's not all about chisels and marble, it's also about human connection, family bonds, and the small comforts of daily life. It's like any company town, what really, just with a much, much more impressive company project. The bazaars of Mumtazabad would be lively places, especially after the day's wages were paid. Here you could buy grain, vegetables, spices, cloth, household goods, and perhaps even small luxuries. Merchants from Agra and further afield would bring their wares, catering to the needs of this large, concentrated population. You might haggle for a new pair of sandals, buy a sweet treat for your children, or simply wander through the stalls, enjoying the sights, sounds, and smells of the marketplace. Now, for a quirky tidbit given the international nature of the skilled workforce, Mumtazabad would have been a remarkably cosmopolitan place. You might hear Persian, various Indian dialects, Turkey, and perhaps even some European languages spoken in its streets and markets. This cultural melting pot could lead to fascinating exchanges of ideas, customs, and inevitably, some misunderstandings or rivalries. Imagine a Persian calligrapher trying to explain a subtle poetic concept to a stone carver from Rajasthan using a mix of gestures and broken Hindustani. It would have made for some interesting cross-cultural collaborations and frustrations. Historians still argue about the living conditions within Mumtazabad. While it was planned, was it a comfortable and healthy environment, or was it prone to overcrowding, sanitation problems, and disease, as many large temporary settlements of the era were? As night falls, a relative quiet descends on Mumtazabad. The fires die down, the sounds of the bazaar fade, and families retire to their dwellings. You might offer your evening prayers, reflecting on the day's work and seeking strength for the morrow. The great white mausoleum, a short distance away, might be faintly visible in the moonlight, a constant, silent reminder of the immense task that consumes your days. Your life here is inextricably linked to it, your fortunes rising and falling with its progress. For now, though, it's time for rest, to allow your body and mind to recover, ready to face another day of creation in the service of an emperor's love and a vision of paradise on earth. The long day, filled with the demands of meticulous craftsmanship, the scrutiny of overseers, and the camaraderie of shared labor, is finally drawing to a close. The fierce afternoon sun has softened, now painting the western sky in fiery hues of orange, pink, and violet. A gentle breeze might be picking up from the Yamuna River, carrying with it a hint of coolness and the scent of evening. Across the vast construction site of the Taj Mahal, the intense activity of the day begins to wind down. It's time to conclude your work, clean your precious tools, and prepare to leave the shadow of the rising monument for the comforts of your dwelling in Mumtazabad. As the overseers give the signal for the end of the workday, there's a collective, almost audible sigh of relief from the thousands of workers. You carefully inspect the piece you've been working on, the nearly completed floral panel, the perfectly set gemstones, the elegantly carved calligraphic verse. You note your progress, perhaps making a mental mark of where you will begin again tomorrow. There's a satisfaction in seeing the tangible results of your day's labor. Another small section of the grand vision brought closer to completion. It's like saving your document after a long day of writing. A sense of accomplishment, however incremental. Your next task is to clean and store your tools. This is not a casual affair. It's a ritual born of respect for your craft and the necessity of preserving these vital instruments. You carefully brush away the marble dust from your chisels, checking their edges for any nicks or dullness that will need attention before morning. If you're an inlay artist, you gather any stray gemstone slivers, ensuring nothing precious is lost, and carefully cover your working surface. Calligraphers wipe down their carving tools, protecting them from rust. Each tool is returned to its proper place in your wooden box or leather roll. A mainstream historical fact is that the care and maintenance of tools were critical skills for any artisan. A well-maintained tool not only performed better, but also lasted longer. And good quality tools were often expensive or difficult to replace. As you secure your tools, you might exchange a few words with your nearby colleagues. Perhaps a brief discussion about the day's challenges, a shared joke, or a plan to meet later in Mumtazabad. There's a sense of shared accomplishment of having weathered another demanding day together. The bonds forged in the heat and dust of the worksite are strong. You are all cogs in this giant machine, but you are also individuals, recognizing and respecting each other's skill and dedication. Once your tools are safely stowed, you join the slow but steady stream of workers heading towards the exit gates. The scene is a reverse of the morning's influx, but perhaps with a slightly quicker, more eager pace now that rest and food await. As you walk, you might glance back at the Taj Mahal itself. In the warm, golden light of the setting sun, the white Makrana marble takes on an ethereal glow. It seems to float, to radiate a soft, almost magical luminescence. The intricate carvings and inlays, which you've been viewing up close all day, now resolve into a harmonious whole, a breathtaking vision of symmetry and grace, even for you who sees it every day, who knows its every emerging curve and detail. The sight can still inspire a sense of awe. It is, after all, unlike anything ever built. Now for a quirky tidbit, it's said that the workers, especially those who had been on the project for many years, developed a deep, almost personal connection to the monument. They weren't just building a tomb for an empress, they were creating a part of themselves, leaving their mark, however anonymous, on something truly timeless. There might have been a sense of collective ownership and pride that went beyond just earning a wage. Historians still argue about the overall morale and satisfaction of the workforce. While the project offered employment and the chance to work on a prestigious monument, were the conditions, the long hours, and the pressures from overseers a source of constant stress? Or was there a genuine esprit de corps and artistic fulfillment for most of the skilled craftsmen? The shadows lengthen, the sounds of construction, the chipping, the hammering, the sawing have now completely ceased, replaced by the murmur of thousands of departing workers and the distant sounds of the awakening nightlife of Mumtazabad. The day's creation is done. You have poured your skill, your energy, and your focus into this monument, and now it's time to reclaim a few hours for yourself, for your family, for rest. The Taj Mahal will still be there tomorrow, waiting for your hands to add another touch of perfection to its timeless beauty. The golden light of sunset now fully bathes the Yamuna and the magnificent structure rising on its bank. You've passed through the gates of the construction site, leaving behind the dust and the intense focus of your workday. Now, you join the river of your fellow artisans and laborers on the homeward path, back towards the familiar sights and sounds of Mumtazabad. Your steps might be heavy with fatigue, your muscles aching from hours of repetitive motion or sustained concentration. But there's also a lightness in your spirit, the quiet satisfaction of a day's creation honorably completed. The air is cooler now, the evening breeze carrying scents of cooking fires and night-blooming jasmine from the gardens that are beginning to take shape around the mausoleum complex. The walk back to your dwelling is a chance to decompress, to shift your mindset from the meticulous demands of your craft to the simpler rhythms of home and community. You might walk in comfortable silence or perhaps chat with a companion, reflecting on the day or discussing plans for the evening. The Yamuna River, a constant presence, flows beside you, its waters dark and placid in the fading light, mirroring the stars that begin to prick the darkening sky. It's a scene of tranquil beauty, a peaceful counterpoint to the day's arduous labor. As you re-enter Mumtazabad, the town is alive with a different kind of energy than in the morning. The harshness of the workday has softened. Families are gathered outside their homes. Children are playing their last games before nightfall, and the aroma of evening meals being prepared is even more pronounced. Shops in the bazaar might still be open, lit by flickering oil lamps, their vendors calling out their wares. The sounds are more relaxed now. Laughter, music from a distant celebration, the gentle hubbub of a community at ease. It's a world away from the focused intensity of the Taj Mahal site, yet completely dependent on it. It's like the backstage of a grand theater after the curtain has fallen. The actors are out of costume, but the magic of the performance still lingers in the air. You reach your own dwelling. Perhaps your children greet you with excitement, or your wife has a warm smile and a comforting word. You shed the dust and grime of the workday, washing your face and hands, the cool water a soothing relief. The evening meal is ready, simple but nourishing. You eat with your family, sharing stories of your day, listening to theirs. This is a precious time, a reaffirmation of the bonds that sustain you, a reminder of what you are working for beyond the imperial command or the daily wage. A mainstream historical fact is that family and community structures were incredibly important in Mughal society, providing social support, economic cooperation, and a sense of identity. For the artisans of Mumtazabad, many of whom were far from their ancestral homes, these recreated family and community networks would have been vital. After the meal, there might be a little time for quiet leisure. You could mend a tool, tell stories to your children, visit with neighbors, or simply sit in quiet contemplation. Some might gather at a local shrine or a makeshift mosque for evening prayers. Others might find solace in simple companionship, sharing a smoke or a quiet conversation under the stars. There are no grand entertainments here like those sometimes found in the city of Agra itself, but there is a sense of peace, of earned rest. Now, for a quirky tidbit despite the hard labor, there might have been simple forms of recreation or artistry practiced within Mumtazabad itself. Perhaps some artisans engaged in their own personal creative projects in their spare time, carving small wooden toys for their children, embroidering cloth, or playing folk music. The creative spirit doesn't easily switch off, even after a long day of officially sanctioned creation. Historians still argue about the degree of social control exerted by Mughal authorities within Mumtazabad. Was it a tightly regulated camp, or did it possess a degree of autonomy and self-governance, allowing for the development of its own unique subculture? As the night deepens, a profound weariness settles over you. Your body craves rest. You prepare for sleep, your mind perhaps still replaying a challenging curve of marble or the precise fit of a gemstone. Tomorrow will bring another day of the same demanding work, another small step towards the completion of the magnificent Taj Mahal. But for now, in the quiet darkness of your humble dwelling, surrounded by your family, there is a sense of peace. You have given your skill, your energy, your day to something beautiful and enduring. And now, it is time to replenish your own wellspring, to gather strength for the dawn that will inevitably come, calling you once more to your sacred craft. The deep, quiet stillness of the night envelops Mumtazabad. You lie on your mat, your body heavy with the day's exertions, your mind slowly releasing its grip on the intricate details of marble grain and gemstone facets. Sleep begins to claim you. But perhaps even in your dreams, the luminous white vision of the Taj Mahal still shimmers. You are one of thousands, your individual name likely lost to the vast sweep of history. Yet your hands, your skill, your dedication are woven into the very fabric of this monument that will soon be hailed as a wonder of the world. Tonight, as you rest, we reflect on your contribution, the anonymous legacy of the artisan. The Taj Mahal is often remembered as the creation of an emperor, Shah Jahan, a testament to his boundless love for his wife, Mumtaz Mahal, and indeed his vision, his resources, and his unwavering commitment were the driving forces behind its existence. The names of the chief architects, like Ustad Ahmad Lahori, and the master calligrapher, Amanat Khan, are recorded, acknowledged for their genius. But the breathtaking beauty that continues to awe millions of visitors centuries later is equally a product of the collective skill and tireless labor of countless artisans like you. The hands that carved each delicate petal, that inlaid each tiny sliver of jasper and lapis, that polished the marble to its ethereal sheen. These are the hands that truly brought the vision to life. A mainstream historical fact is that while the exact number is debated, estimates suggest around 20,000 artisans and laborers worked on the Taj Mahal complex over a period of roughly 2 decades. This vast, diverse workforce was the engine of its creation. Your individual identity might be subsumed within your guild, your region of origin, or your specific craft. You are the stone carver from Kanauj, or the inlay specialist from Persia. Yet your unique touch, your years of training, your intuitive understanding of your materials, these are irreplaceable. Without you, and thousands like you, The grand designs of emperors and architects would remain mere drawings on paper, ambitious dreams unrealized. You are the bridge between concept and reality, transforming inert stone and raw gems into an articulate expression of beauty, devotion, and imperial power. It's a quiet sort of heroism. The heroism of the craftsman. The legacy you leave is not one of personal fame, but of collective achievement. The Taj Mahal stands as a monument not just to an empress, but to the extraordinary heights of artistry and craftsmanship that flourished under Mughal patronage. It is a repository of skills passed down through generations, a fusion of Persian, Indian, and Central Asian artistic traditions. Every perfectly balanced arch, every flawlessly executed inlay, every graceful calligraphic swirl speaks of your mastery, your patience, your commitment to excellence. This is a language understood across centuries by people of all cultures. No need for a translation app to appreciate that kind of beauty. Now for a final poignant tidbit. There's a persistent, though largely debunked, myth that Shah Jahan had the hands of the chief architects and craftsmen amputated after the completion of the Taj Mahal to ensure they could never create another building of such beauty. This gruesome tale, while adding a dramatic flair, has no historical basis and contradicts what we know of Shah Jahan as a great patron of the arts who valued his skilled artisans. It's more likely a legend that arose to emphasize the unique, unrepeatable splendor of the Taj. Historians still argue about the ultimate fate of the many artisans once the Taj Mahal was completed. Did they disperse to other imperial projects, return to their home regions, or did their skills find new patrons, influencing artistic traditions elsewhere? The diaspora of Taj Mahal talent is a fascinating, if somewhat elusive, story. As you sleep, perhaps your dreams are filled with the cool smoothness of polished marble, the vibrant colors of gemstones, the satisfying rhythm of your tools. You dream in the language of your craft. You are building something that will outlast you, outlast your children, outlast even the mighty Mughal Empire itself. You are part of a continuum of creation, a link in a golden chain of artistry. The world may never know your name, engraved on a plaque or celebrated in chronicles, but your work will speak for you, silently, eloquently, for all time. The moon, perhaps, cast its silvery light over the still incomplete dome of the Taj, and over the quiet dwellings of Mumtazabad where its creators rest. The Yamuna flows on, a timeless witness. Your breath deepens. Your body finds its well-earned repose. The intricate patterns and demanding labor fade into the soft embrace of sleep. Allow the sounds of the 17th century artisan town to recede. The distant tapping of a late working craftsman, the soft murmur of the river, the rustle of leaves in the gentle night breeze. Let the image of the majestic, glowing marble fade into a comfortable darkness. You can release the focused intensity of the day, the weight of the tools, the pressure of imperial expectation. Know that your small, vital contribution is now part of something immense, something that will inspire wonder and touch hearts for countless generations. There is a profound peace in such creation, a quiet dignity in skilled hands shaping beauty. As you drift into deeper slumber, may your rest be as deep and as satisfying as the knowledge of a day's work perfectly done. A small masterpiece completed within a larger dream. Sleep now. Artisan, sleep well.